Hey everyone, it is your favorite YouTuber, Rick Richards. This is the Rick Richards Show for June 1st, 2020. And I just wanted to stop by, say hello, and provide a brief comment on some of the situations we're seeing in the United States at the moment regarding rioting, protesting, all that stuff that's going on. Now, many of you may remember that I predicted that there was going to be a lot of civil unrest. I've also predicted that a civil war is, well, let's just say this. I can't really get into that kind of stuff without having some repercussions on the channel, but let me say this. The United States, as we currently know it, will not exist in probably about 15 years. I would say. I mean, whenever you give a year and a time frame, I mean, it's kind of a shot in the dark because you have so mmany different variables and so many different factors bubbling up to the surface that it's really hard to say how quickly or how slowly things are going to move. But I would think I do. Here's what I'm going to say about these riots right now, and then we'll get into Donald Trump. The riots right now will burn themselves out. They won't last more than a few more days, I don't think, and the reason for that is that the people doing the rioting, by and large, there are some instigators in there, of course, but by and large, it is more or less a crime of opportunity. You know, they're not, even though they've come together under a cause, that being George Floyd or police brutality towards Black people or whatever it is, they are a very loosely organized group. You know, they're more doing targets of opportunities, venting, and stuff like that. And whenever the damage inflicted seems to get a little bit too out of hand, you're going to see it get stopped very quickly, right? And by the way, you notice there's never a lot of destruction in New York. Never a lot of destruction, right, in New York. A lot of people that would protest, right? But never a lot of destruction. They seem to stop it pretty quickly when it's there. Anyways, what I wanted to talk about, though, is Donald Trump. Now, I know the mere mention of Donald Trump can send some people into into a state of inner turmoil or anguish or whatever, right? And for whatever reason, he is an extremely I guess polarizing is one way to say it, but he is a figure that just, I don't know, he really brings out a lot of animosity in people. And I have a fairly neutral view towards him. I never really liked him when he was running his that show, The Apprentice. You know, I always thought he was kind of a pompous ass and stuff like that. I did like him in the 2016 election, simply for the stuff that he was saying with regards to like the wars in the Middle East. He was saying these were stupid and pointless, and I was all for that. He was talking about how corrupt the media is, and I 100% agree with that. But I think it became very clear early on that Donald Trump was more or less a con man, and well, I don't even know what the point of his con was. I mean, is he really better off being president? You could argue, no, he's not. But you see a lot of Trump derangement. Now, we know you see it on the left, and if somebody steps in dog shit, it's because Donald Trump sent the dogs out, right? And sorry, if you're one of those people, you got to admit, you have a tendency to blame everything on him, right? But you also see some Trump derangement on the right as well. And from them, it's more of this trust the plan. This is 4D chess. Donald Trump is thinking 3 or 4 moves ahead. Well, I'm here to tell you that is wrong as well. Donald Trump has completely been boxed in now. Now, what we're seeing here, particularly in a concerted effort from the radical left, but more or less executed by the entire left of center, and even some of the center as well, I guess you could say, is something more or less out of the playbook of Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. Now, if you don't know who Saul Alinsky is, he is an activist. He was born probably like in he's pretty old. He's dead now, but I mean, he was born in the early part of the 20th century, and he was an activist all his life. and he was an agitator, right? And he developed a couple books. I think one is Reveille for Radicals, which wasn't that successful. Then he had another book in the late 60s or 1970 called Rules for Radicals. And basically what it was, it's a playbook that shows people, leftist people, how to attack the prior establishment, right? And one of the things he advocates for is isolating a target, freezing a target, and then personalizing the target and polarizing the target. And that is exactly what's been done to Donald Trump. See, and the police as well, I might add. Now, if you're the police right now, and you see someone who's Black committing a crime, what should you do? And before we go further, I would say that I think the police often go too far with how they detain people and how they hold them. Like if somebody's laying on the ground handcuffed, you don't need to have your knee on their fucking neck, right? We know that. However, by and large, I think most police do a pretty decent job with a thankless task. Like let's admit it, right? This is a thankless task. Nobody should be doing this shit. I was a bouncer at a bar, and trust me, man, you do not want to deal with the fringe element, let's say, right? And you know what? This may surprise a lot of you, but police can be assholes to white people too. I've experienced it. But anyways, the police now are frozen. They're frozen, they're polarized, and it's personalized, right? So if you're a police officer and someone's breaking the law, should you arrest them? Or is it easier for you to look the other way? I guess it depends on what the crime is, right? But prior to this, prior to these events getting national attention, and I can show you a lot of events that were worse that got no attention, but let's just stick with these. Prior to this, if somebody's committing a crime, you go and you make an arrest, right? If you're a police officer. Now you got to think twice, don't you? You got to think twice. Should you do it, or should you just look the other way, right? And if you are arresting somebody and they resist arrest, should you use force? Should you use force? What if something happens? What if they go for your gun? Should you let them shoot you? Right? See, all these things that would normally form part of the, a more or less automatic procedure, and which does form an automatic procedure. No matter what you think about the police, these interactions that they have with the public are going on thousands of times across North America every day, right? And occasionally something goes wrong, right? Doesn't mean there's not bad cops. Doesn't mean there's not mostly good cops. Some people act up and deserve to die. If you're going for someone's gun and they shoot you, kind of a stupid move that's going to cost you your life, right? I'm not saying George Floyd did that. But anyways, we have to understand nuance, right? Which brings me to the next point. So they're frozen into inaction, the police are, right? If you enforce the law too harshly, it could cost you everything. You could be charged with murder, right? You certainly lose your job. And not only that, but an entire city can go up in flames. So the smart thing for you to do is to look the other way, right? That's called freezing the target into inaction. And once you freeze a target into inaction, it allows you to advance your action, right? So this happens with truck drivers, right? Like if anybody saw the 1993 riots with Reginald Denny, he's a truck driver. He was driving through LA and a mob gathered around his truck and he stopped. Wasn't a good idea. He got pulled from the truck and he got beat senseless. And he was never the same again, right? He fucked up for the rest of his life because of it. So that was a mistake, right? But if you don't stop and you plow through the crowd, you are going to get sent to jail for murder. They're not going to say it was accidental or whatever. You will go to jail for a long time. There was a guy named James Fields that ran over somebody at a protest or a riot. He said people were attacking his car, so he slammed it in reverse and he hit this woman, and she ended up dying, I think, of a heart attack. And this guy got like 400 years. So there you go. There's another group that's frozen into inaction. Fucked if they do, fucked if they don't, right? Donald Trump, for all his 4D chess, has found himself in this very same position. See, right since the very moment that he was elected president, he has been trying to negotiate and win over allies, mostly on the right, kind of on the neocon right. He's been, he cajoles, he blusters, he threatens, but he never really does anything. Like all these people that are worried about Donald Trump and his secret agenda, he hasn't done anything. But he has found himself now in that very position. Like they've gradually eliminated allies on his side and isolated him. Right. This is the polarization. Right. They personalize him. It's never a bad decision or a bad policy. He is always a bad guy, right? He's always got negative things attributed to him. His policies on the face of it are never examined as just policies, right? So it's personalized, it's polarized in the sense that you get extreme opposition forming against him, and all of his allies or people that are somewhat neutral are removed from the equation, right? They're either prosecuted or they're frozen so they can't come to his aid or whatever, right? So now Donald Trump, tough talking Trump, was holed up in a bunker in the White House. So this guy, first of all, he never went to the defense of any of his people that were loyal to him, supporters, right? All those people you may remember from 5 years ago marching off to his MAGA rallies with red hats on and stuff like that. They all got beaten to shit, and he didn't do a damn thing for any of them, right? So he's lost that loyal, fanatical support that he had, right? And now it's gotten to the point where people, rioters, can attack the White House, and Trump's response is to hide in a bunker. Like, you're the fucking president and you're hiding in a bunker? Now, if he's doing that, it shows that he doesn't have confidence in the people around him to act, right? So he's stuck. He's frozen. If he reacts harshly, if he tries to bring out the National Guard and these orders are followed and everything is stopped on a dime, then you're going to see a whole bunch of bad optics of Trump's America, National Guard beating down people, poor defenseless people, peaceful protesters getting shit kicked, right? That's what you're going to see. So he's damned if he does that, right? Because optics and the visuals of it are going to be horrible for him, and it'll enhance this narrative that he's a dictator, right? And if he goes the other way and just doesn't do anything, which is what he's doing, he just looks weak and ineffectual, right? So that's the situation he's in. He is completely frozen. They have frozen him, they have personalized it, and they've polarized it. So he really has no choice now. And he just has to hope that the governors and local actors start taking steps to stop this, which they will. And like I said, rioters, they burn out. But the moment is lost for him, right? I mean, he's gone from this whole COVID situation where he actually did the right thing in the beginning. He actually said, we're going to stop flights from China. And he was attacked for it. He was attacked. He was doing that before anybody in Canada was doing it, right? But he was attacked for being racist or whatever it was, right? Whatever. Like I said, I don't like the guy, so I don't have a dog in this fight, right? But I will tell you this. If Donald Trump, now here's the wild card. I'm giving you a wild card now, okay? So if Donald Trump wins the election, it's going to be because the establishment left and the radical left and parts of the establishment right want him to win. They want him to win because he is a magnet for all the advancement they want to make. The U.S. wants, the left and the Democrats, they want to take they've already taken the House. They now want to take the Senate. They want to start taking other portions of the judiciary. And that's why Biden, I think, is just kind of thrown up as a lame duck presidential candidate. I don't even, either A, Biden is up there just so that Trump can win because they want to keep him in, or B, Biden is going to get replaced, because there's no way out of a country of 330 million you would come up with Joe Biden as a presidential candidate. I mean, his fucking mind is gone. There's no way. The only way he's getting through there is somebody wants him in as a puppet that they can control, right? I think that's pretty obvious. So if you like any of these videos, be sure and hit the thumbs up. Be sure and subscribe. Be sure and share. I try to take a neutral approach on everything. I like to break things down and take a strategic view and analyze things as they are. Okay? So don't come at me and say, oh, but you love Trump, or tell me I'm a liberal leftard or whatever, or a snowflake. I'm none of those, okay? I'm just a practical guy that looks at strategic analysis and operates basically on those premises, okay? And I'm telling you now, this is a play right out of Rules for Radicals, the leftist playbook, and they have executed it over the course of the 3 years of his presidency. And it is to polarize, personalize, and freeze the target. And Trump is in that situation now. Until we meet again.